one, and let's go. Jack, man, what's going on? How's things over east?
Hey, oh yeah, good. Happy in lockdown, unfortunately, but life's good. Still on the grind, Happy days.
Oh,
It's all good.
man, you guys still in lockdown over east in Victoria right now? I don't pay attention to the news these days.
Yeah. Oh, we've been in and out and on and off for the last 18 months. It's been a long struggle, but yeah, hopefully some light at the end of the tunnel. Yeah, just ticking along, doing what we can.
Shit, like I know Victoria was bad, but I was unaware that it's still in lockdown. Like, what are is it just like you can't leave the house, or is it restrictions? What's the situation?
Yeah. Well, we've kind of like come in and out. Like at the moment, we had like a fair break. It was like a couple of weeks off, and then there was a case, and they popped back in. They gone hard like straight away. So like curfew, can't you only can stay out till 9 o'clock. You got 5K radius. You can't go out of that unless it's for work or whatever. But yeah, they're pretty strict over here, so it makes life hard. But yeah, just doing what we can and trying to just keep on going.
I understand, man.
Yeah.
Do you have they made any announcements to when hopefully your lockdown might be over, or because you got a fight coming up, man?
Yeah, I fingers crossed the fight. I think the fight might be getting pushed back, unfortunately, like just because of they won't be able to have a crowd because of restrictions. But I think I'm not too sure. I think the next date is like if this one gets pushed back because of restrictions, I think it's November 20. But just waiting on a few confirmation things. But I think I heard New South Wales are coming out of lockdown in sort of mid-October, so whether we follow the same route, if we're on the same sort of pace track, yeah, as them, I'm assuming around then. Haven't heard anything. It's full on down here. It's a hard time.
Yeah, I'm like in New South Wales, they've got like a whole different level of things going down, like getting like 1,000 cases a day, these protests in the street, people fighting with police. It's just like, I don't know, it's bang out
it's
of
full
order.
on, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
full on.
I haven't heard, I'm pretty sure in Victoria now it's a lot more controlled than it was, but all right. I mean, we're lucky here in Perth. We haven't had any we had a couple of cases or a case recently where it was a truck driver who came in from New South Wales, but it was very, very weak, so we didn't go into lockdown. But
Perth's the place to be at the moment, I reckon.
yeah, it is. It is, man. Because what is it now? Pretty much, we have not everything is at full capacity, but we're heading down that route. So that's the moment where we're heading. But anyway, man, enough about the lockdown and shit. Let's talk about you, man. First of all, I just want to say, I mean, 2019 was a huge year for you. I mean, that was when you made your amateur debut against Bevan Chaya, which you won by TKO, which I watched, by the way, which was fucking brutal. Brutal. I mean, I mean, for a young guy such as yourself, I mean, I really like your style. It's almost like a gladiator brawler-like style. Like, how did you?
I'm down for any go wherever it goes. I'm feel confident in every aspect, mate. Hey.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, how did you like? What was your background? Like, how did you come into this style?
So actually, to be honest, that was like my MMA debut, but I've actually had 20 amateur fights. I haven't like they had obviously just been sort of local shows and this and that, but I can't remember what that was. I think that was my first amateur. I had it's a long story, but my very first fight I was 16, and that was an amateur MMA fight. Yeah, so like I may have only had say 2 or so amateur MMA fights, and I'm one pro, but I'm as an amateur boxing, kickboxing, MMA, I went 15-5. Like I should have used social media maybe to more of my advantage, but I kind of just I was fighting once a month, twice a month, kickboxing, boxing. So that was like my first, I'd say bigger amateur, like MMA. That was a big show, like a big amateur show. But yeah, like I was no lack of experience like going into that fight. I started off with amateur. My first fight was amateur MMA in the AFC. They had an amateur AFC show, and 16. I weighed in. That fight was the guy missed weight by 5 kilos. I said, "Fuck it, let's go." Like I'm here now. Like I'm not here to play games. Like like it is what it is. But like I took the fight, and look, I learned a lot of lessons. But yeah, I was 16. Then I lost my first ever 3 fights. So I fought that, and then I fought a kickboxing fight, 2 kickboxing fights, and lost them. And then I like learned so much in those 3 fights. And then my next, I've like, yeah, honestly, I had that many like amateur fights, just like, you know, kickboxing fights here and there, and on like on the local shows down here, fighting on them. Sort of built my way up through the amateurs, and then yeah, really struggled to get opponents in the end for kickboxing, boxing. I won the Arnold Classic. We have like a sports festival down here, and I won the Arnold Classic boxing tournament. And then not long after that, MMA was always my like route I wanted to take, but I just wanted to get anything in, just to get, you know, the adrenaline dumps and that sort of out the way, like just get as much experience as I can. And then then I ended up getting in the fight with Devin Chia. I didn't really I had out my blue belt and all that by then, but I wasn't really big on the scene kind of thing yet. Then that happened, and I had a few more after that, and then I had another amateur. I won a Victoria amateur boxing title. And then after that I just really couldn't get any fights and went pro, and COVID happened.
Wow. Okay. So that really clears up a whole lot of things to me, because when I'm always trying to do a little bit of research, especially on guys as yourself who are sort of up and coming, like it's hard to find out about your amateur history, because your amateur history is what like builds you up so much. And
Absolutely.
When I was watching the fight, I'm like, there's no way. I was checking all the fight records, like, how has this guy only got 2 fights that are listed? Like, there's no way this guy's fought twice, because the way that you fight, you fought with someone who's got a lot of experience. And when you said, I've been fighting since I was 16, that makes so much sense. Now, when you mentioned like you said you lost like 3 fights in a row, like what was like the biggest like lesson that came out of those 3 fights? What made you keep going?
I like obviously knew like amateurs was to just obviously build up as much confidence. And I was never, from those losses, like my first fight, he like missed weight and then I lost or whatever. Like I never was down on it. I was never like, oh, like this isn't for me, or like I knew that now's the time to I could recognize these things, but I never lost any confidence. Like I just sort of took little notes of, I have to do this better, like be prepared, like for the feeling that I'm going to get. Like before I'd ever fought, I'd never thrown a punch. Like I'd spar and chip. Like before I walked into the gym, I've never had a fight. So like I have never been in like, you know, proper like a fight. So in the first fight, it was just crazy adrenaline, and then each fight it gets better. But my first 3 fights, I was never disappointed or whatever. I didn't accept it, but I took notes. Like it was just like, you know, things to do. Like I watched my fights back and like, all right, that's how I look. I want to fix that. Lots of lessons, lots of mental lessons, like feelings. All right, I'm going to feel this. Be prepared for this. You know. Like I honestly, just I was never down by it. I was just okay. This is what's going to happen, and then I just kept working and fighting as often as possible, and sort of ended up where I am.
Wow, it's definitely it's come a long way since then.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You mentioned that you never had been in a fight before you started training and all that. So what can you tell me about your background? How did you get involved in martial arts in the first place?
So originally I played AFL, footy for 8 years since I was young, and then to be honest, just got kind of sick of the scene, and I played at quite like a high level, and then just kind of got over it and thought I want to start something new. And I had a friend from school, and we were both like, oh, like fighting's kind of cool. Like me and Dad had always watched fights, like just here and there, nothing too crazy, but always had been fans of, you know, martial arts and fighting and that. And we were like, oh, we'll go. I was talking to my friend. I was like, oh, we'll go down to the gym, and I actually followed through with it. He didn't come down, but I actually followed through it. And from the day I walked into that place, I felt at home. Like it's not no crazy, you know, like story. I was never it was just honestly just why not, and I just fell in love. I fell in love straight away.
So
Yeah.
when you walked in, obviously you're very young and all that, and then you come from a footy background, so you definitely came from an athletic background. So that must have helped in some way, you know, because usually some fighters that I've spoken to, when it comes to them transitions to martial arts, if they have some form of sporting background, they have some form of like coordination, and then of course they understand like agility and strength, things like that. They usually do. They don't find it. I mean, obviously there's the skills to get down, but they don't find it too difficult to pick up. So the other thing I was just we wanted to mention as well. So from the time when you started training in the gym, when was the time period from there to when you had your first ever amateur fight, which did you say was in boxing?
That was MMA. Sorry, yeah, my first ever fight was
MMA.
Yeah.
So what was the time period between the two?
So I joined the gym when I was about 15. Like I was sort of, I was almost sort of 16. I was just like halfway sort of 15. So I think I trained for 9 months. I did mainly like kickboxing. I really liked kickboxing, and then sort of because we had guys training MMA and BJJ at the gym, I was like, oh, I really want to give that a crack. I probably only did that for 4 months. Yeah, so altogether, I'd say it was about 9 months before I had my first fight. I was just, roaring to get in there and just get on board, get the experience. But started when I was just over sort of 15, had my first fight at 16. And then was from then fighting every month as much as I could till about 19 for 3 years. And then
it's different.
got where we are now.
Wow, 9 months. That's a very, very short period of time to go straight into an amateur.
Like I kind of caught on quick. I don't know. I never fought, but I don't know. Maybe just being like having a sporting background since day one. Like just I don't know. It's just how I have been. Played footy, and then I was in the gym with like at a young age. I was in the gym like doing spin bike classes. I was training like every single day, even when I was like 15, 14, 15. You know, like I was always just on it. And then I picked it. I learned. I feel like I learned lots of things. I learned pretty quick, and I just the boxing, the kickboxing. I just fell in love with it. Like put all my energy into it and learned it, and grinded it, and ended up. It was 9 months, but it was fast. But I was confident. Like I had, to have my first fight, I was confident. Like,
Are you still in that same gym which you started at when you were 16?
Yeah. So it's called XFC. So XFC gym. I train at. There's a couple around the area. I live in sort of around the Frankston, sort of southeast suburbs of Victoria, and the gym was 5 minutes from my house. And like that's family for me. Those guys, that's home. Forever and always. We were like there. I look to them. They're taught me everything, and still so much to go. But those guys, that gym's the best.
For your sense of loyalty, appreciate that, man. I'm sure the gym's pretty happy for you, and they're definitely going to be behind you, because now you've got a fight coming up in a couple of weeks. Now, let's just say let's piss off the pandemic for 5 minutes, and then let's just go forward and talk about the fight actually happening. So you're up against Mitchell Carter. Now, first of all, did you know anything about him before you started before you got the call to fight him?
No, I'd never. No disrespect, I'd never heard of him. Nah. I once I sort of got the match, I heard. I went back and had Louis' record 6-1. Like, obviously, knows what he's doing. But no, and I had like throughout the pandemic and that it's just been a nightmare for me because of where I live and no shows and such a big break. I've just been I'd never said no, and he popped up. I said yes straight away. Looked at the record, all right, no worries. Like this guy obviously knows what he's doing. 6-1 as an amateur, making his pro debut. I think it's a good match. But no, I had never really, to be honest, no disrespect, heard anything or never.
Well, that's good. That's good to hear, because I mean, in the time between your last professional fight was against James McBride, which was another bloody TKO, which was very, very impressive. Which was back in 2019. So you've had, obviously because of the pandemic, man, like you've had like a bit of time out of the cage. So what would you? But it's also a lot of time to improve. So what would you say has been the biggest improvement in your camp and in your training since your last fight in 2019?
Well, I have like obviously the pandemic's been on and that, but like every single day, like nonstop, like I'm still going. Nothing's changed. I've learned so much, even in the last leading up, even just this fight camp leading up to this fight, like just stuff with my coach. Like every single session I take, maybe it might be a tiny little bit, but from 2019 back then, a tiny little bit every day, every week, to where I am now. I cannot wait to get into the cage again and show. From then, that fight, like it was my debut for pro, and yeah, dominant performance. But this fight, like I know I'm a new animal compared to that one. And that one, I was, I just can't wait. I may be 1-0, like, but I've had 1-0, but I've had the other fights, and I've just leveled up so much since then, in all aspects. Like BJJ, like obviously, I prefer. I've more so my fights because I've had so many boxing, kickboxing. Quite confident in the stand-up, but I've grinded jits, grinded all my wrestling, like non-stop. We've got good guys in the gym coming through. We've got a good team forming, and every aspect, like everyone's good at their own things, and we're all, like come together. And man, everything. I feel, it's a crazy time, but I've leveled up so much. I'm ready to go, no matter what happens. Confident.
That's actually very good to hear, because when I talk to fighters, man, like when we have people on the show, I always ask about the pandemic. The pandemic was, it was unprecedented, and it sucks for people such as yourself, because we pretty much live inside gyms like 24/7, always training, because they're always on that constant improvement. And then they take that away from us, obviously because of the whole lockdown and all, which is again understandable. But I always ask about like what were you guys doing? Like some tell me they would set up a bag at home, or they'd still meet with their coach in the park. Or like, what were you doing specifically when the gyms were closed?
I would, or I would just honestly, like for a while there, because I didn't have a bag at home, I set up a few things. We got a gym and just weights and sort of those bits and pieces. I got some pads from the gym and body bags and to do like MMA sort of stuff. But one of my friends, we kind of like linked up, and most days we're hitting each other up. He's a mate from the gym and just my best mate in general. We would like most days just do sessions in the garage, down at the park, whatever. Like, and then other days maybe train like striking, and because you can't grapple, we had no mats or whatever, but we would strike. And then other days I'd go for runs, and I kind of got into running a fair bit. And that's really what kept me busy. Like I just wanted to stay fit, stay on it, like so that when we're back, I'm ready to go straight away. I could do what I can, like what I could with what I had really. Like I had to couldn't get in the gym because of the lockdown, so I worked with a mate and then just stayed fit by running a lot and doing all that sort of exercise. But
that's good to hear, man. So right now you compete at welterweight, so you're roughly like 2 weeks out. Like how's the weight cut going, or is there much of a weight cut for you?
Well, so I've also it's been a bit of a bizarre one. So my first pro fight was a catchweight fight. So I had originally planned that was 75, because my original opponent, something happened with, he was coming from, I think, New Zealand. He couldn't get here, but that was for 70 kilos. So my actual like division that I have like fight in, but I haven't fought in yet because of the whole thing, is lightweight. So so that was a catchweight, 75. That one was, and then I had struggled to get an opponent for this show coming up. There was a show earlier in the year that I just couldn't get matched for. Not sure why, just couldn't, no opponents, whatever. Anyway, and then for this show, originally I had a guy from Perth who that was at 70 kilos. And then the borders happened and the show got pushed back. It was supposed to be August, got pushed back, and then the borders happened. So he couldn't get here, and then I got the new opponent. And Mitchell fights at 66. I'm pretty sure it's his like division. So we kind of organised catch weight, which will be 68 and a half. So yeah, the weight cut's going good. I've never really, because for like my amateur career, like it was all about just learning, like trying to kill my body. It was about learning like the weight. I'd sort of fight a few kilos less than what I maybe was or whatever, but it was never like weight cuts, like just what I was comfortable just to get the experience. But for this one, I've been working with condition nutrition.
Oh, Peter.
And yeah, Peter is the man. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the man. He came on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. Shout out to Peter. He's a very,
shout out to Peter. Yeah.
he's very, very knowledgeable as well. That was probably one of the most, in terms of podcasts, I definitely learned a lot from that man. So how did you get in touch with Peter?
Honestly, just through Instagram, social media. Like we just we were like talking here and there, and then I was like, this fight lined up, and I was like, I need a nutritionist. My girlfriend, she's studying nutrition science, so she's sort of on the same route as that. But I just wanted she's kind of helped me with my food in the past, but I wanted someone who's fight specific, and I thought I already have a good relationship with him. He's bloody good at what he does, and yeah, I chatted to him. We got it going, and man, the weight cut's been good. It doesn't even feel like a weight cut, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much? From the time you started the weight cut, how much specific weight, specifically, how many kilos do you need to cut down to get to the catch weight?
So it's 68, and I'm usually sort of around high 70s. So I've sort of dropped about 4 or 5 kilos already, and then, you do your cut and that. But probably 5 kilos so far. But I don't feel like weak enough, and I feel fine-tuned. Feel strong every session. I feel energized. Can go all day.
Wow, yeah. That's good to hear. So because when it comes to weight cuts, and especially when you're saying you're dropping down to 68 in the high 70s, that's really almost like a good 9-10 kilos for you, which is a substantial amount of body weight, and to drop that much and still feel like almost like exactly the same as what you.
I feel better, to be honest. Like I feel like I eat good, but now that I've got the fine tuning from him, and it's all proper weighed out and that, I feel like this is sort of where I'm supposed to naturally be, But I feel good, and I'm dropping the weight, and I'm feeling better, feeling stronger, everything.
Yeah. And has this been the most amount of weight you've ever had to drop?
Yeah. I don't feel, I feel good.
That's great to hear, man. And you still got a couple more weeks. So what's the game plan for the next 2 weeks then, in terms of training and in terms of the weight cut?
Well, I left to visit the food and that with Peter. He knows what he's doing. And it's fallen off. I'm feeling good training wise, because the restrictions are all weird. So legally, as a professional athlete, you're allowed to train. So still doing that, but it's obviously a bit restricted. Just keep on sort of doing what I'm doing. I'm getting in a couple of sessions a day, and still grinding, doing that what I can. But yeah, the weight, I have no stress at all with the weight. Training, I feel fit. I feel fine, still going. Obviously, it's a bit hard and restricted, but everyone in Victoria is, so doing what I can. But I feel good to go. Game plan, just keep doing what I've been doing, Yeah.
And also, there's another thing to point out as well, that you mentioned that you started fighting from a very, very young age as well, and then you probably fought through high school, and now you're fighting pretty much full time. What were you doing when you were outside? Did you ever have were you working a typical job, or would you just?
So in school, I was doing it in school, and then train after school every day. But right now, I do work a full-time job. I'm an apprentice plumber. I'm a 3rd-year plumber. So I train. I do most of my sessions after work at night. Like I won't do a session and then go from one gym to another gym. But my day usually consists it's pretty big. You get used to it, but I start work at 5:30 every morning, so I'm up at about 4 or 5 o'clock, getting ready, go to work.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I work, and I'll work the whole day. Finish work at about 2:33. Pack my bag, go straight to the gym, do whatever. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, it's all kickboxing and sparring and boxing, and at my other gym, XFC, but in Noble Park. So we have gyms in multiple locations, but I go there to train with like the other pro fighters there. And then I'll go from there back to Carrum Downs. I'll probably say the Noble Park or wherever it may be, but I usually have one session, usually around 4:30. I have an hour break, however long it takes to get from one gym to the other. And I do my strength and conditioning, all my other styles, and then so that's Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Tuesday, Thursday, it's all the gym. I do my MMA, wrestling, grappling, and then sort of home by 9:30, have some food, wash up, go to bed, repeat up at 5. The next day, every day. Yeah, so it's a big what do I say? It's like it's a big thing. Like working every day full time, and then training full time, fighting full time. But you get used to it.
Yeah, for sure. Because that's like a pretty fucking hectic schedule as well. Well, especially working as part of like some guys. I mean, I'm talking to they work labor jobs. Some guys, they tell me they're working as an electrician or working as scaffolders, or they're working as like
manual labor. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard on the body as it is.
Yeah. But the thing is, with me, they also tell me like they like it because it really toughens them up. They try and treat it as like a workout, because the feeling that I get from a lot of these fighters, they're not the kind of people who would ever want to settle for a desk job. Yeah, I got the feeling you're kind of like the same thing. You would never settle for a desk job, would you?
No, that's it. Even like growing up, I'm like, I always wanted to be outside and doing some sort of trade, hands-on, whatever it may be. But my big grand plan is once I finish my apprenticeship, I love plumbing. It's been great, I love it. But once I finish it, I just want to 100%. Like, it's not that this is a backup plan, because I love it and I do enjoy my job. But once I am able to finish my apprenticeship, I'm going 110%. Well, that's my goal.
So for the time being, can you run me through what would you do? I know you gave me into great detail about when it comes to work as well, but can you run me through what you would learn in a typical fight week for you? Can you break it up? On Monday, okay, my coach says we're going to focus on grappling. Tuesday, we're going to focus on kickboxing. On Wednesday, we're going to focus on boxing. Run me through what you go through week to week, or does it vary?
As in just fight week, or just in normal?
Just in normal, yeah.
Normal, yeah. Okay, yeah. So Monday, I work, and then I'd work till about 2:30. Come home, pack my bag, maybe have a quick snack, go to training, and then kickboxing at the Noble Park gym.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's for a couple of hours. I do that. It's a hard, intense session with the other pros. I'm not sure if you've looked, but I train with Undefeated, one of the boys, Marcus Burke. He's a Australian champion kickboxing. All these guys, and they're it's hard work there. It's good, and then I'll go from there back to Carrum Downs, my gym, and then do strength and conditioning of some sort, whatever it may be, varies, whatever. There's a group of us that'll do it. Then Tuesday is work again. I start training at 6 o'clock MMA, so I do an MMA session about an hour and a half, and then straight into jiu-jitsu for an hour and a half as well, finishing up at about 9 p.m. And then then repeat. Wednesday's the same as a Monday. Tuesday's the same as Thursday. Friday is back at Noble Park, where we do all that sparring and hard drills and all that sort of stuff. And Saturday we do wrestling. So Saturday morning, up wrestling, strength and conditioning, and then into wrestling. And Sunday's usually rest day.
Wow. So if you don't mind me asking, because I personally am a strength coach here in Perth at the UFC gym in Balcatta, what do you what do you do specifically for your strength and conditioning, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah. Well, we usually do like lots of we'll like choose like sort of like say a section of the body, like we're gonna do legs and all that sort of stuff. But it's lots of circuit sort of things like explosive, high intensity, 30-second sets. Lots of yeah, I'd say lots of circuits. Not so much, like I haven't really been a big heavy like weight lifter kind of person. Even like now, like I don't really lift weights, but all my strength and conditioning is sprints, stuff on the bike, lots of just body weight stuff with weights, but it's all like interval training and like that. We just usually smash them out, and yeah, probably an area I could fine tune a bit more as well. But what I've done so far, I feel good, and yeah, it's lots of more so yeah, just lots of circuit training and high intensity stuff.
And man, if it helps, it helps. That's what I really like to ask a lot of fighters.
Yeah,
Some guys, they have very sport specific exercises which they follow. Some people usually circuit training does usually follow it, and they usually like to tell me like to do it in like 5-minute rounds or 3-minute rounds. Like
yeah,
it would be specifically for when you actually have the actual match itself, and also mimics things like a boxing round or a BJJ round, anything like that. Do you and in terms of the other thing I'd like to also bring to is because when it comes to a fighter's life, it's a very, very I don't mean it's a negative way, but it's a very selfish life because you're very, very focused on like constant improvement. A lot of
and you've
fighters,
got to be really.
yeah, you have to be because it's like that obsession, I mean, you either want it or you don't fucking want it. And if you want it, you got to go through all the hard yards to get there. Uh, but another thing is that a lot of fighters I've spoken to is they are very what's the best word that they're very loyal people as well because
Yeah,
they know that they're in is on a very hard path, but the people who stick to them they will always stand by. So
yeah,
that's what's the other thing. Now, because your life is pretty full on, as if it is like working as a plumber, constantly training. Like what about like how do you balance like your life? You mentioned earlier on that you have a girlfriend and all that. Like how do
yeah,
you like disconnect from the training? Like how do you disconnect from the constant working on the grind
yeah,
24/7?
yeah. To be honest, I kind of just I don't know squeeze it in like Sundays and Saturdays. Like I'm not a drinker. Can't remember the last time I had a drink, but I don't know. Like I just hang out with like my mates. Like whenever I get the chance. Sometimes if I just if I need that break, will like finish training and then go hang out with them. Even if it is late, I need that break. I need to socialize. I'll go to my girlfriend's house like quite often after training. Over the weekend, we spend a lot of like time together. Just whenever I am not working or not training, like even if it's hour here and there, like I'm always with my mates, I'm always with them, my girlfriend, family, just doing something. But I I try not to when I'm like training is training and I love it, and when it's off time, it's off time. So like like weekends, or like once training's finished on the weekend, like I'm free. I'm just gonna have do me and hang out, chill out. Yeah, whatever it may be, going down to the beach, going to grab something to eat, just hanging out. Yeah, nothing too crazy, but just simple
That's
things.
that's good to hear. Like, do you have any like specific hobbies, or is there anything in general like you like to do that just help take off, or is it just always fighting, usually 24/7?
Yeah, fighting is my pace, to be honest. Like if I'm wound up from anything, I go to the gym, I train, and I forget about everything. That's how I calm down. That's, without training, with lockdown, it's like, it is hard because you get wound up, like you're just stuck inside. You can't really go to the gym and get like that outlet. But the gym's it's never ever felt like a chore, no matter what. Never. That's I love that place. Like, that's my that's my go-to. Um, yeah. Other than that, I don't really have any sort of big like hobbies kind of thing. I really enjoy like going away, camping, fishing, all those sorts of things, but no other sports kind of thing. Yeah, it's just mainly fighting. Yeah.
Understood. So now you're fighting in a couple of weeks against Mitchell. Obviously, it's going to be a big favourite in your cap because you want to maintain that undefeated record. Once this fight is through, do you have any set plans for the rest of the year? Now, I understand that it is September. We've only got we're in the last quarter of the year. But is there anything that you plan to accomplish before the year is through?
To be honest, just get back in there ASAP. Like I've had lots of lost time due to obviously the pandemic, but just get straight back in there. Like while I'm young, strike while the iron's hot, get in there, and just if an opportunity, if a fight pops up, I'm going for it. That's it, and that's the plan, So yeah, as long as I can think ahead, just get in there, get them done while I'm young, get in, make a difference, make a deal, do what I can.
Understood,
for the rest of the year, just get many fights.
Understood, man. Now, when you talk about as many fights as possible, it's good that you put that up because one thing I always say is that when it comes to working with fighters and talking with fighters all the time, one thing I love about them the most is that they are incredibly goal driven, and it's not like just I want to fight this many times this year. They have goals for everything, like I want to get another stripe on my blue belt, or I want to get a stripe my black belt, or want to just or want to do this boxing rounds. So I always like to really ask them this question right towards the end of the podcast: is like, where do you see yourself within like the next 3 years?
Funny you say that. Like I'm in my bedroom and I've got 3 big sheets with all my goals.
See?
So every day I wake up, I look at that. I'm like, I'm getting after it. Funny you say that. That's funny. I love it. But just keep the undefeated record, keep smashing it, like keep loving it, and see where it takes you. International, that's the plan.
Is that what's on the list right now?
That's what's on the list. They got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 0, and then it's just like a next the new. Yeah, so it's like 2 and 0, 3 and 0, 4 and 0, 5 and 0. It won't happen by itself. And then I've got like UFC, just big plans.
That's
dream big. Awesome. You never know.
That's fucking awesome, man. I appreciate that. That's like the first time someone's actually showed me that what is it, that piece of paper, and it's been right there on your wall too. That's it, yeah. That is an incredibly positive way to put it, because one thing I'm always telling everybody is if you want to do something, like fucking write it down. Like I'll show you write it down, because like for me this is like a standard like day of a diary, like everything I've got to do in a day, the list of tasks. And because the reason why is I always tell everyone, if you don't write it down, it doesn't get done, because once you've written it down as well, you've consciously committed to it, and then if you don't get it done, it bothers you.
It's not just in your head and then you forget about it. It's there, like it's there. Get after it.
Yeah. Plus, I also tell people, like, if it comes to small tasks, just do it straight away. If you don't do it straight away and say, "Oh yeah, don't do it in 5 minutes," you'll never do it in 5 minutes. You got to do it straight away. Yeah. Anyway, man, appreciate you sharing that with me. Now, we're just heading up to the end of the podcast. I just wanted to ask you, man, this is the part where I'd like to just say to the fighters, like, it's against a selfish road, but I don't believe that anybody's ever a self-made man. I honestly believe that the people around us are the ones that build us up. So this is the point of the podcast where I just say, man, like, do you want to take the time, or would you like to take the time to extend any gratitude, or is there anyone in particular you want to thank, anyone you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just obviously, my supporters, my family, my friends, my girlfriend, and my gym. Yeah, my gym's been everything to me. Like, I owe it to them. I don't have any big sponsors, but if you want to get on board, hit me up. But yeah, just my gym, like I owe it to them. They're family, me. They everything I have learned, and that is because of them. Not only with fighting, but life lessons. So shout out to them, and thanks to everyone who supports me day to day. And thank him. I wouldn't be able to do it without him, that's for sure. Absolutely.
That's good to hear, man. That's a very, very well spoken. Anyway, man, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate everything you're doing right now. You're definitely on your way. Best of luck on for your fight in the next couple of weeks. Now, if my obviously my followers or the audience would like to stay in touch with you, how can they find you?
On the Instagram at Jack Lyons MMA. I try and keep updated as much as I can on there, and all things life related, whatever. I'm me. Yeah. That's it.
That's good to hear, man. All right, Jack Lyons, appreciate you taking time, man. All the best, and I will be making sure I'm constantly following you, and all the best for your fight in a couple of weeks, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.